This is a passage written at 100 words per minute, but it's been written with a view to revising the practice of disjoining S when S vowel S comes at the end of a word. This can come at the beginning of a word or sometimes in the middle of a word, but generally it's at the end of a word. The idea is that disjoining the S is quicker than joining two S's together with an indicator, because that is slow to write. If you feel the need to revise this thoroughly, you will find guidance in Beginners Lesson 18 at 11:44. There I talk about this disjoined S being written at the beginning of a word too. I use it as a special outline for suspect and derivatives of that word, because such words are included in exam passages about crime. So suspect, suspected and suspicious are words I write with a disjoined S at the beginning. In Beginners Lesson 18, I liken the resulting outline to a stick man. As I said, it is more commonly used at the end of a word, and here are the words in this passage that employ that principle. So more or less in order in which the words appear in the passage, let's start with the word season. It begins with an S, then there's a vowel, or vowels in this case, and then another S. So there's two ways of writing it: joining the two S's together with an indicator, or disjoining the S and putting the N underneath. Now you could use either, but for that particular word I would tend to join the two S's together. The next word, which has S vowel S at the beginning, is suspend. And here I show you two ways of writing. The first one with the disjoined S, then the P underneath, N and D, or joining the two S's together with an indicator and then the P, N, D. For my personal preference, again, I would go with the S vowel S. In other words, I only use the disjoined S for the words I've talked about, which is suspect and derivatives of those words, but there isn't any reason why you shouldn't disjoin the S at the beginning of any word that begins S vowel S. Now let's look at the word resist. Here you've got an S vowel S in the middle of the word. Now I would never disjoin the S in the middle of a word, so in resist I've written R, S, I indicator, S, T, and both S's are outside the angle. Tricky little outline to write, but once you've written it a few times you get the flow. Now the more traditional ones, where the S vowel S comes at the end of the word and we just disjoin the S. So we've got houses, that could also be hoses. Moses, the name of the person, so I've put the little dashes underneath to indicate that that is a proper noun. Roses, could also say rises, of course. Losses. Crisis, that could also say crosses. Now in the first one I've put the R in, and in the second one I've written the S inside because it's a CR blend. Now I much prefer the version with the R in, because writing a small s inside the C on its own is very, very difficult to write at speed. It's like trying to hit a moving target. Now the flowers, primroses. So prim would be the PR blend because PR comes together without an intervening vowel and the M goes through. That would say prim or prime. But if we double that M to add the R, you've got PR, MR, and then says for primroses. Next one is crocuses. CR blend again. CR comes together without an intervening vowel, so the next consonant goes inside, in this case a C. That could say crack or crock. In this case it's croak, is, and the says at the end is that disjoined S. Warehouses, W doubles for R, then H and says, warehouses. Basis or businesses. Hoses. And now grasses. So again, put the R in because it's very difficult to put the S inside the G. Again, it's like hitting a moving target. It's difficult to write at speed. So for grasses, I would recommend that you put the R in. Again, either is correct. Doses, D and the disjoined S. Vases. Purses. This time the P and the R are separated by a vowel. Accuses, A indicator C and says. Purchases. Amuses. Eases. Now I've written that in 3 different ways: the full E and the disjoined S, the E indicator and the disjoined S, or the E indicator, S, vowel indicator, S. Again, all 3 are correct. You choose the one which you feel that is right for you. Rises. Buses. Arises. I've put the R in. That's to prevent us having to write the S inside the little A because it's an AR blend there. Exposes. Businesses. And finally, opposes.